Something bizarre just happened at the WNBA Finals, and nobody wants to talk about it honestly. The league's championship series is sending completely contradictory signals about women's basketball right now. On one hand, you've got record-breaking television numbers. On the other, you've got empty seats and dirt-cheap tickets. And right in the middle of this mess, A'ja Wilson and other star players are pointing fingers at the one person who isn't even playing, Caitlin Clark. The 2025 WNBA Finals opened with 1.9 million viewers watching the Las Vegas Aces take on the Phoenix Mercury. ESPN announced it proudly, the most watched finals opener in 28 years. 62% increase over last year. Playoff viewership up 16% overall. By every television metric, the league should be celebrating. Women's basketball is thriving, right? Except walk into those arenas and you'll see a completely different story. Game 1 between the Aces and Mercury delivered exactly what you'd want from a championship opener. Back and forth action. A'ja Wilson dropping 21 points. Dana Evans becoming the first player ever to hit 5 threes and record 4 steals in a finals game. The Aces pulled out an 89-86 victory in a game that stayed competitive until the final seconds. Television viewers ate it up. Nearly 2 million people tuned in to watch two talented teams battle for a title. The semifinals leading up to this moment had been even more impressive from a ratings perspective. The Fever Aces series averaged 1.56 million viewers, making it the most watched WNBA semifinals ever. Game 5 of that series, the elimination game that sent Vegas to the finals, pulled in 1.83 million viewers on ESPN2. That's the 4th highest playoff audience since 2000, behind only games featuring Caitlin Clark last year. For a league that couldn't crack 1 million viewers for any game before 2024, these numbers represent genuine growth. 7-figure audiences have become so common this season that they're not even notable anymore. Before Clark arrived in the WNBA, no game had averaged 1 million viewers since 2008. Now it happens regularly. The semifinals averaged 1.3 million viewers, up 57% from the previous year. Nielsen's expanded measurement methods account for some of that increase, but not all of it. Something real is happening with women's basketball viewership, and the finals seem positioned to capitalize on that momentum. But here's where the story takes a strange turn. Those impressive television numbers aren't translating to the one place that matters most for any sports league, the actual arenas where games are played. Finals tickets in Las Vegas were available for under $40 in multiple sections. Not nosebleed seats for a random Tuesday game. Championship Finals tickets, the biggest event on the WNBA calendar. You could get into Michelob Ultra Arena for less than most people spend on dinner. Upper deck seats going for prices you'd expect at a college game, not a professional championship series. When the series shifted to Phoenix for the Mercury's home games, the same pattern emerged. Tickets available for $25 to $50 in sections that should have sold out weeks in advance. The day of Game 3, hundreds of seats were still showing as available on resale sites. This is Phoenix's first finals appearance in years. A team with 3 championship banners hanging in their arena, playing in a market that's proven it will support winners. And still, demand was soft. Compare that to what happened earlier in the season when the Indiana Fever visited these same venues. Courtside seats for Fever games were going for $2,000 minimum. Regular seats that normally cost $50 were selling for hundreds on the secondary market. People fighting over tickets like they were trying to see Beyoncé. Arenas packed hours before tip-off. The energy was electric. The buzz was real. And suddenly, the WNBA felt like appointment television. The difference? Caitlin Clark was playing. And when she got injured in mid-July after just 13 games, that entire ecosystem of casual fans disappeared almost overnight. Not gradually, not over weeks or months. Immediately, like someone flipped a switch and all the lights went out. The hardcore WNBA fans remained, obviously. But that massive wave of new viewers and arena attendees that Clark brought with her? Gone. This creates an uncomfortable reality that league officials don't want to acknowledge. The television ratings are up because Clark's impact on the sport extended beyond just her games. She brought mainstream attention to women's basketball. She got people talking about the WNBA on sports radio and social media. She created a cultural moment that lifted all boats. But sustaining that momentum without her actually playing, that's proving to be a much harder challenge than anyone anticipated. Aja Wilson is a 4-time MVP. She's averaging ridiculous numbers. She's one of the most dominant players in WNBA history. By any traditional measure, she should be must-see television. But the harsh reality is that most casual sports fans don't know who she is. They don't follow her on social media. They don't buy her jersey. They don't tune in specifically to watch her play. That's not a criticism of Wilson's game. She's phenomenal. It's just the truth about star power and mainstream appeal. The Mercury Aces Finals matchup had all the ingredients for a boring series from a casual fan perspective. No compelling storyline that transcended basketball. No real rivalry. Diana Taurasi and Brittany Griner, the two biggest names from Phoenix's recent run, both retired after last season. The roster that made it to the finals is talented but lacks that household name appeal. Alyssa Thomas is great. Satu Sabali is skilled. Kalia Copper can score, but none of them move the needle with people who don't already follow the WNBA closely. Wilson herself seems frustrated by this dynamic, though she's been careful not to say it directly. Other players have been less diplomatic. Throughout the season, there's been tension bubbling under the surface about Clark's popularity and what it means for everyone else. Some players act like her success somehow diminishes theirs, like casual fans tuning in to watch Clark and then discovering other talented players is somehow a bad thing. This mentality is exactly what's holding the league back. Instead of recognizing that Clark is a rising tide lifting all boats, some players seem resentful of her attention. Instead of understanding that generational talents create opportunities for everyone around them, they're focused on what feels like an unfair distribution of spotlight. It's short-sighted, it's petty, and it's exactly why the WNBA struggles to build sustainable momentum. The empty seats aren't just about missing star power. They're also about fans losing faith in the product itself. The officiating throughout the 2025 season was catastrophically bad, and everyone knows it. When the Fever played the Aces in their semifinal series, the calls were so one-sided that casual observers wondered if something fishy was happening. Clark getting hammered with no whistles, Aces players drawing fouls from minimal contact, analysts and former refs publicly questioning the inconsistency. Social media exploded with compilation videos showing the discrepancies. Fans aren't stupid. They see what's happening. And when they feel like the league is actively working against the player they came to see, they tune out. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert gave the same corporate non-answers about continuous improvement and taking concerns seriously. Meanwhile, fans were leaving in droves. The controversy reached its peak during the Lynx-Mercury semifinals when Napheesa Collier got injured on a play that should have drawn a whistle but didn't. Coach Cheryl Reeve got ejected for arguing. She was later suspended for calling the officiating malpractice. And she wasn't wrong. The refereeing has been so consistently terrible that it's become a storyline bigger than the actual games. That's devastating for any sports league trying to grow. Engelbert keeps insisting everything's improving, but the numbers don't lie. Casual fans checked out because they don't trust that games are being called fairly. Die-hard fans are frustrated because their complaints get dismissed with corporate speak, and players are caught in the middle, unable to speak freely about what they're experiencing without risking fines or suspensions. Speaking of Engelbert, she's become the lightning rod for everything wrong with the WNBA right now. Napheesa Collier, one of the league's biggest stars and co-founder of the rival Unrivaled League, absolutely destroyed the commissioner in her end-of-season interview, called WNBA leadership the worst in the world, accused Engelbert of being negligent, claimed the commissioner told her players should be on their knees, thanking for the media rights deal they negotiated. According to Collier, she asked Engelbert back in February how the league planned to address officiating problems. The commissioner's alleged response? Only the losers complain about the refs. Collier also said Engelbert told her that Caitlin Clark should be grateful for the platform the WNBA gives her, since without it, she wouldn't make anything. That's an absolutely wild thing for a commissioner to say about the player driving the majority of the league's growth. Engelbert denied making those specific comments, but the damage was done. Players across the league voiced support for Collier. Sophie Cunningham piled on. Even Clark herself said Collier made valid points. Right in the middle of intense CBA negotiations with an October deadline looming, the commissioner had completely lost the trust of her players. That's not a small problem. That's an existential crisis for a league trying to capitalize on unprecedented momentum. The CBA situation makes all of this even more complicated. Players want higher salaries, better benefits, bigger revenue shares. They absolutely deserve those things. Professional athletes should be compensated fairly for the value they create. But here's the brutal reality. How do you walk into negotiations demanding significantly more money when your championship finals can't fill arenas? When tickets are selling for less than movie theater admission? League owners and network executives are going to weaponize these attendance numbers. They're going to point at those empty seats and ask how the WNBA can justify massive salary increases when casual fan interest evaporates the moment Clark isn't playing. The players won't have a good answer because there isn't one that doesn't acknowledge an uncomfortable truth about who's actually driving the league's growth. The WNBA's 2025 growth wasn't organic league-wide success. It was the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. She was the rising tide that lifted all boats. Her games drew viewers who then discovered other talented players. Her merchandise sales boosted league-wide numbers. Her social media presence brought attention to the entire sport. Take her out of the equation, and you're left with exactly what we're seeing right now. Solid television ratings propped up by momentum she created, but empty seats in arenas because casual fans don't have a reason to show up. That's not meant as an insult to other players. There's incredible talent throughout the WNBA. Aja Wilson is a generational post player. The Mercury have veterans who know how to win. These are skilled athletes playing at the highest level, but skill alone doesn't sell tickets to casual fans. Entertainment sells tickets. Storylines sell tickets. Stars that mainstream audiences care about sell tickets. And right now, this finals has only one of those elements. The league's refusal to acknowledge this reality is what's really holding it back. Instead of protecting their biggest star from cheap shots and questionable officiating, they let it happen all season. Instead of building marketing campaigns around the player who actually moves the needle, they kept trying to force other narratives that casual fans didn't care about. Instead of recognizing that Clark is a once-in-a-generation talent who can carry the sport to new heights, some within the WNBA seem threatened by her success. And now everyone's paying the price. Players who deserve bigger salaries have less leverage in CBA negotiations. Teams that need revenue to improve facilities and travel are seeing decreased income from arena attendance. Fans who want to see the sport grow are watching it regress in real time. All because the league can't get out of its own way and embrace what's actually working. Looking toward next season, the WNBA has a critical decision to make. They can either learn from this situation and build around their actual stars, the ones fans want to see, or they can keep pretending everything's fine while arenas stay half empty. They can either fix the officiating problems that drove casual fans away, or they can keep losing credibility with every bad call. They can either create compelling matchups and storylines, or they can keep delivering games that only die-hard fans care about. The Caitlin Clark era showed what's possible when the league has a transcendent talent that captures mainstream attention. Record viewership, sold-out arenas, genuine cultural relevance. It was all right there within reach. And then Clark got injured and the foundation crumbled. Not because she stopped being great, but because the league failed to build a sustainable product around that momentum. One player can't carry an entire league forever, but she can be the foundation that everything else is built on. The NBA had Michael Jordan, the NFL had Tom Brady, the WNBA has Caitlin Clark. She's that level of talent and marketability. The question is whether league leadership is smart enough to recognize what they have and protect it, or whether they'll keep letting petty resentments and poor officiating undermine their own growth. So here we are, finals games with record television viewership, but tickets going for less than parking. The biggest event on the WNBA calendar getting solid ratings but struggling to fill seats. League officials insisting everything's great while the disconnect between their words and reality grows wider every day. And the uncomfortable truth hanging over all of it. Without Caitlin Clark, the WNBA's mainstream appeal remains fragile at best. The 2026 season will tell us everything we need to know. Clark will be back, hopefully healthy and ready to dominate. The league will either have learned from this experience and built systems to support sustainable growth, or they'll waste another opportunity. Fans will either return because the product improved, or they'll stay home because the officiating and league politics turned them off permanently. One way or another, the WNBA is about to find out whether this year's growth was real or just a one-player phenomenon that disappeared the moment she left the court.